Yeah, so my name is Jacob. I currently do DevRel for Phylax Systems, which is a security-focused company. So we are trying to just like fix security kind of in crypto so that crypto can actually move forward, right? It's one of the big challenges. But before that, how I got into crypto was all the way back in 2015. I was writing my bachelor thesis, and initially I started out writing about Bitcoin. Then my professor asked if I'd heard about Ethereum, and I was like, I have not. Started looking into it. I was like, it sounds like someone who just tries to copy Bitcoin, a little bit phony. After some time, I understood what the EVM was, and that was like a game changer for me, right? Because you can basically now write smart contracts, and that was like it clicked. So I wrote my bachelor thesis about Ethereum instead. Sent it to the Ethereum Foundation. Got offered an internship in the fall of 2015. Moved to Berlin and went all in on Ethereum. And back then, the mindset, I would say, of Ethereum, of crypto, it was much more like cypherpunk. It was much more like aligned values. Everyone was in it for the same reasons. We wanted to build better technology. No one thought about making money. We just thought, let's all work together, make this a success, focus on like making this technology into something that can improve the world, kind of. So that was like the ideology and why I was like, really, this is what I want to dedicate my time to. Then I started working full-time, worked on the Raiden Network, which was back then, it was payment channels. So it was both scaling Ethereum, but it also had an aspect of privacy because you were doing payments off-chain. So you opened a channel with someone, but you could do payments off-chain, as many payments as you wanted, and in the end it would only show like your settled balance. So this was actually both a scaling solution and a privacy solution, and I always found it very interesting to be able to do like private payments, right? Especially digitally in these days, and I think that's one of the things that most people who are into privacy and who are into crypto, they value the idea of being able to do private payments because like who doesn't want to be able to buy things without like the government being able to figure out anything about you? Personally, I'm from a country like Denmark, Scandinavia, where we have everything that we want, basically. Everything works very well. We have it very well. And we have really good payment infrastructure with Web 2 payment infrastructure that works very well. It's super easy. And I think in Denmark, I have not paid with cash in the last 15 years, maybe more, because it's so convenient just to pay with card, basically. The only time I pay with cash is at my hair cutter or like a hairdresser, and they're definitely laundering money in the back, right? So that's what you use cash for in Denmark. So yeah, this was like where I kind of saw the difference between like we have this technology and we can actually get the full kind of cash experience, but online. And for me, that's one of the most attractive things that we can build. Then I lived in Berlin, Germany for a decent amount of time. And here, cash is a big thing. And it's kind of beautiful. Like no one knows when you go to a coffee shop, restaurant, whatever, you just spend cash. And it's nice that no one can track you. But in Denmark, where I live, anyone could just like, well, not anyone, but if anyone got access to my payment history, they could probably figure out where I live, when do I do what, stuff like this, right? So for me, privacy is like just the freedom of doing what you want, when you want, without feeling that someone is like looking over your shoulder. So yeah, for me, privacy enables freedom, I would say. Okay, that was a little bit of a derail. Yeah, so since then, since 2015, I've also been running like Copenhagen Ethereum meetup group, doing a lot of meetups there, always trying to invite different people to come and talk. I met people like Anon, who's doing like now privacy pools back in 2016. Followed his path, followed his journey a lot as well, and followed the TornadoCash. So like was an early adopter of TornadoCash as well, so know the value of like these privacy tools, and I also understand why like the battle we are fighting to like make privacy normal kind of is so important. And in this and at the same time, I think 2 or 3 years ago I met the guys from Web3 Privacy Now, and I really like what these guys are doing, and I was like, okay, can I help somehow? And I've helped a little bit with some of the events, provided some like feedback to different kind of things. So I think like that's a little bit about like my journey into like the whole privacy thing. I think I could go on forever about why privacy is important, but if you're watching this, you probably already have an opinion about why privacy is important. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about like if you want to develop privacy-focused applications. I think first off, it's not an easy thing to do. Usually, doing privacy-focused stuff also means using a slightly or significantly more complex tech stack. So you definitely want to be serious about it. You want to spend like time getting familiar with like the actual cryptography that is being used. You probably need to know like some kind of zero knowledge one way or another, some libraries there. I think at the moment what I find the most interesting is probably like something like Aztec and Noir. I feel like they probably have the best developer experience for building like truly privacy focused applications, but it is still quite a learning curve, especially if you're not too familiar already with like the EVM and like crypto in general. But I think that's where I would recommend starting out. And just for learning purposes, I think it's quite interesting to look at something like the TornadoCash code base, the smart contracts there. There's another project that I find it was very interesting a year ago. It's called Fern. They actually implemented like full zero knowledge proofs on chain in Solidity, which allowed you to have account-based privacy on chain, whereas almost all the other current like privacy solutions that exist at the moment are UTXO based. So something I would really love to see is either someone picking up the work that the Fern team was doing, or trying to find another way that we can have account-based private payment solutions on chain, because it is a better, in my mind, user experience. So I think that's an area to definitely look into and improve upon. Additionally, I would say there's a lot of stuff, like privacy is a lot of things, right? It's not just crypto. It's not just focusing on like smart contracts or whatever. It's also just about caring about your appearance online, so to speak. Right, so have good like hygiene in regards to not sharing too much information about yourself, not posting pictures maybe everywhere you go, or if you do, then post it a couple of days later, so that you still have this kind of privacy in your life, and maybe not like share your address with everyone all the time. Small side story again is like, in Denmark, in Sweden, we have like this kind of open registry where anyone can look up your name, and you can they will basically get your address and your phone number, and this is opt out. So by default, everyone is listed there, and it's kind of crazy, right? There was 2 years ago, I think there was a case with some guy who had been like showing off a little bit too much that he had Bitcoin in Sweden, and some gang or something like that, they came to his house and tortured his girlfriend in front of him until he gave up his private key. So that's the kind of stuff that you should also think about. But it's not just like having the ability to actually do private transfers on chain, but also just like care about your personal privacy life. So yeah, the first thing I did when I moved back to Denmark was to opt out of this kind of open registry. So if you're in a country that has something like this, check if you're listed there in the same way. definitely recommend a couple of times per year check, have I been pwned, to see like if any of your like passwords out there, or just like Google yourself, try to see if people can find information about you that you don't want out there publicly, or like, I don't know, if you really want to go deep into it. Still, okay, sorry, I deviated again. I'm not talking about the developer stacks anymore, but like if you want to go truly deep into it, you could get like a Faraday pack for like carrying your phone around, stuff like that, so people can actually not track you in any way. I know a couple of people who do this, and I think it's pretty cool. And yeah, in the same way, think about your mobile phone, maybe disable location tracking when you're like out and about. You probably don't need all those things all the time. Yeah, so I think like that's like just some general things to think about that maybe most people don't care too much about. Yeah, and going back a little bit to like developing privacy stuff. Yeah, that it's not easy to do. It's definitely worth doing. It will take longer. You should be quite cautious with like let's say the GitHub account that you're using while you're doing it, for example, and all the other accounts that you are connecting to this project. If you're actually thinking that what you're building might be in a gray zone, I don't know. Depends on where you live, right? But anyway, take the precautions from the get-go, so that you're not like you don't have like a profile picture of your face and your cat or whatever just representing this project, but like build up an Anon account that you can use for these kind of things, because you never know when some government decides that what you're doing is potentially illegal. It's sad that it's come to this, or that we're at this like stage, but yeah, just better safe than sorry. So yeah, you have to think a decent amount of steps ahead of what you're doing, for sure. So it sounds maybe basic, but just make sure you have these things covered. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about hackathons, some like general tips for hackathons, and maybe a couple of like ideas, things you could potentially manage to do in a hackathon. Maybe also tips for how you could potentially win them. So I think in general, if you're going to a hackathon, privacy focused or not, it's a good idea to have like expectations for the weekend first, of course. And also, are you going with a group of friends or people that you know, or are you going there alone? You already have an idea or not? So I think there are many different approaches and options. I think one thing you can do, you can go there, just have the idea that you want to work on some privacy-focused project. Go there, check out what are the technologies available, potentially the sponsors, and then see if you can use any of those to build something. If nothing else, it's a good way to get familiar with or learn a new technology. I think that a pitfall, or something that's quite often happens, is that people sit down, they look at all the rewards of the hackathon, and then they try to force these technologies onto their project, or as many technology as possible onto their project. And I think in general this is a mistake, because it sometimes means that you end up building something kind of that the sponsor wants to see, instead of something that actually makes a lot of sense. So in my mind, you should come up with an idea, let's say privacy-based idea that you want to build, and then build it. And if you can use one of the sponsored technologies, that's good, then do that, but try not to force it, because it just means that you might build something that is not the optimal solution. You should always focus on how can I solve this problem in the best way, and not how can I build something that gets me the most bounties. Because in my mind, if you build something that actually matters, that actually makes sense, and you won't really have to worry about like if you get a small bounty at the end of the hackathon, because you might be building something that will make an impact in the space in the long run instead. So I've seen projects that didn't necessarily win a hackathon, but they are still around, or people are still using them for something. And it can also just sometimes be the fact that the judges didn't fully understand what you're actually building, right? So whatever you do, my best advice is don't try to force technologies onto your idea, but build the thing that you want to build and then take it from there. Yeah, so, and how do you potentially win a hackathon? Again, it's like a fine balance, as I said, because like, do you build something that really like matters? Then hopefully the judges will realize that. And even if you build it without focusing on any of the sponsor prizes or sponsor technologies, the judges should still realize that you build something impactful, and at least you can run away with the main prize potentially. And I think that is better than trying to win 3 different prizes. And tips for winning, I would say, like, build something that's fairly easy to explain how it makes an impact. Focus on telling like how you utilize some like privacy technology. So the judges want to know that you used and understood how to use the specific technology, and also make it very clear how your project will potentially make an impact, or how it can be used for something new or something that enables people to have privacy. What else do we have? Yeah, so, and I would say like, okay, that was about winning, but like general tips for like hackathons, of course, have fun. I think that's the most important thing. I go there and don't just say, okay, it's a failure if we don't win anything. It's also about like having fun, meeting some new people, learning new things, just like sitting down and like heads down, having fun. Personally, last year I actually joined the FDAM hackathon with 2 friends I hadn't seen in a year, and we decided this is just how we are going to spend a weekend catching up. It was a lot of fun, not a lot of sleep. We ended up building something that was actually fairly useful. So yeah, it's for everyone really, and you should just like not take it too seriously. I think that's a good advice. And if you had this idea, I don't know, for a year or just for some time, something you want to prototype out as well, it's also not, there's no shame in doing a hackathon just for the sake of prototyping something. I know people who just go to a hackathon to just do their regular work, but they just like to hang out and enjoy the vibe and the atmosphere of like-minded people. So yeah, hackathon is not just about winning or not even maybe building meaningful stuff, but it can just be about mind share with people who are also focused on privacy stuff. So yeah, don't take it too seriously. Don't be sad if you don't necessarily have an idea when you get here, and if you're in the unlucky situation that you don't find a team, then just take the opportunity to hang out and learn about something new. But yeah, also interesting to talk a little bit about the potential intersection between security and privacy, how they sometimes can go hand in hand, and sometimes how they definitely don't go hand in hand, and how security sometimes work against privacy, I would say. So for example, there are some very big companies in crypto by now, and some of them they have to care a lot about their security because they have a lot of users who could lose a lot of money if they got compromised. And that potentially means that the employees of these companies, they have to use company laptops with like running software that basically monitors what's happening on this laptop, which is kind of very invasive, especially for someone caring about privacy. So sometimes security is much easier to do efficiently when you have more transparency and not that much privacy, I would say. So that is also one of the things that can make things more difficult, right? We need to have better security in crypto, so people don't lose their money, they don't lose trust in what we're building, and at the same time, we want to have privacy. But privacy also means even less transparency, even less chances of recovering lost funds. Like, there's a reason why North Korea likes to use TornadoCash to launder their money, right? Because it basically kind of deletes the the trace of where they're coming from. So as someone who loves privacy, I love TornadoCash, but it's also one of our biggest challenges in the security space. Is like, as soon as North Korea starts moving funds into TornadoCash, it gets so much more difficult to like track it and further investigate what is actually going on, which is kind of a dilemma, right? How do we solve that? And I don't have like golden answer to this, except I would definitely tell people who are working on privacy solutions that you should very much also take security into consideration, and do what you can to make sure that the users of your privacy solution are as safe as possible. So yeah, focusing on best practices, Solidity, DevOps, all that kind of stuff. It's very important, and more so than anywhere else. I think like privacy really needs to focus on security, because when things go wrong in privacy solutions, they probably go very wrong. I would say something like, I don't know what a good example would be. Maybe privacy pools. That's where all the fuss is at the moment, right? Like, if you look at these guys, they spend a lot of time getting audits and having like slowly rolling out their protocol to make sure that like security is in place and that it's actually working as it should work. So I would definitely recommend that if you are building privacy solutions, privacy dApps, prioritize security. Probably prioritize it more than marketing or anything else, because that's we don't want another like TornadoCash, Lazarus, whatever situation. So I think that's very important to focus on. And in general, I think that we cannot bring crypto forward without good privacy solutions, but we also need good security, because we've seen so many times protocols getting hacked, billions being lost, and all of this just makes mainstream dislike crypto even more. So we need both, and there are definitely ways to focus on both. If you have, let's say, in the case of like, you care a lot about security, you get hacked, whatever, right? And then it's usually the privacy solutions that are used to launder this money. And I think this specific dilemma is a big thing to focus on. It's like, how can we build, let's call it like safe privacy solutions? Like, I don't want to say censorship, like I don't want to say like permission based, but we need to solve that somehow. It has to be a way that people can prove that they're like not bad guys, they just want privacy. Like, privacy is not about like doing illegal stuff, right? Privacy is just about caring about privacy. It shouldn't be illegal. Like, you should be allowed to just say, I don't want anyone to know what I'm doing with my money. I don't want anyone to know what website I'm browsing. I don't want anyone to know, I don't know, where did I drive Saturday evening. I just want to be able to live my life and not have people like knowing anything about me, basically. Like, it should be the default, I feel. Privacy should be default for sure, for everyone. And then you can choose how much you want to share. Like, if you want to share on Instagram that you're doing something in Dubai, whatever, like, yeah, go ahead, be my guest, right? But it shouldn't be the default that you do that. So yeah, I think if we go more into like the social aspect of privacy and why you should care or why people should care, is like definitely about this, like privacy. We could go on forever about this, but like without the privacy, without the idea that you can like do whatever you want when you want to do it without other people knowing, then it's not sustainable. And if we go back, I don't know, 100 years, maybe more than 100 years, but like the default was privacy. Back then, there was no technology that allowed for surveillance of any kind. You just knew, like, if you were in your own house, no one else would basically know what you were doing. If you were alone in the forest, whatever, no one would know what you're doing because there was no devices tracking you, anything like that. And I think that's how people evolved by having privacy, because it enables for freedom and for like doing what you want, and having like freedom of speech is also like kind of related to this, I feel like, because like you should be able to like say what you want, especially be able to say what you want in front of your friends or whatever, right? Now when I'm sitting talking with friends, sometimes I'm thinking like, even if someone could hear the joke I'm making right now, assuming someone is listening, like they would definitely, like, that could be used against me, or they could misinterpret it. Like, if you can't even sit with friends and make stupid jokes that you wouldn't be making in public, then something is very broken in our society, I think. So yeah, it's like human, like privacy should be like a human right. Right, and I think most people would, not most people, but if you're watching this, you probably agree with that. But there are so many people who either don't really care about privacy, or they definitely don't want privacy, especially governments, right? But I've also seen many different countries, like even just the difference between, let's say, Germany and Denmark. Germany still loves cash, uses it a lot. Denmark barely uses cash, and no one there cares about it. Like, for many years in Denmark, people still use Facebook Messenger. That's the default way of communicating. I think maybe it's encrypted now, or you can enable encryption, but people in Denmark really don't care about what people know about them. And in Germany, people actually care. In Germany, people actually care quite a lot more about the privacy, and I feel like there are other places in the world where they care even more. But it's definitely, it is a cultural thing. If you trust your government quite a lot, then you probably also feel that you trust the others, like the citizens that you interact with more. And if you don't trust your government that much, then probably you also care a bit more about privacy. So there are some interesting aspects in how two countries, for example, that are bordering each other, can have very different ways of looking at the importance of privacy. So yeah, I would say, maybe as a closing note, that there's a difference between, like, depending on where you come from, you probably have different needs for privacy and different things that you want to build privacy for. So yeah, focus on that. Like, again, if you're going to a hackathon in, I don't know, Germany, for example, but you're coming from a place in the world with a lot of corruption, then maybe try to build a solution that would be for your country and not necessarily for the sponsor coming from Denmark or whatever, that face entirely different privacy issues. So yeah, try to build something that has an impact, and maybe not focus on the 10 different bounties that you can win. I think to wrap up things, I'll just talk a little bit about like how I do privacy and some of the tools I might want to see being built, and some general recommendations I have. I think to start with some general recommendations, there's a bunch of nice like resources you can check out. Go to the Web3 privacy website and check out there. They have great resources, so you can read some different manifestos, both cypherpunk and privacy focused. Go to an event, it could be Meetup or Hackathon by Web3 Privacy, but I also very much recommend something like HCPP, so Hacker Congress Paralelipolis in Prague. It's a really great place to go and get like this real cypherpunk vibe, and a lot of people there care deeply about their privacy. Go there, talk to some people, understand how they have been living more or less off the grid for many years. It's very fascinating, very interesting. I think that that's like some of the things you can do to like level up a little bit and learn more and experience some of these things in real life. personally, for like my stack of privacy-focused tools, I use Signal for messaging. I've almost managed to get all my friends and family there, and it's nice to have a little bit peace of mind that whatever you talk about, like no one really knows what's going on. So for that messaging, I feel like that's a no-brainer. For private payment, I feel like that's still somewhat an unsolved problem. So I would love to see a good solution for this. Currently, if you would use something like, if you want real private payments, then you do, I don't know, what's called Railgun or something like that. But to actually do the payments inside the system, it's extremely expensive. So I would love to see something that allows you to do this in a cheaper way that is fully private. I use, if it has to be private, I would use Monero at the moment. So I have Monero, and it's a good way to actually pay people if you want it to be private. For like general tech, I use as a browser. I know a lot of people use Brave, but I've just used Firefox for a long time. I feel more confident with that. And yeah, anytime I'm doing anything related to like crypto, doing it in like a separate profile. So not do like crypto related stuff in the like browser window or browser profile that you use to, I don't know, look at pictures of dogs or cats or whatever, right? Like keep things separate. Ideally, maybe even have a separate laptop that you have all your like crypto on, or do all your crypto stuff on, because here again we kind of get at the intersection of security and privacy. You never know if you've been compromised. You don't know what weird stuff is running in some extension you installed years ago, or what app you installed years ago. So like just make sure, for the sake of your privacy and for the sake of the security of your crypto, that you really separate concerns. So having it as a laptop just for your crypto, that's a good idea, for example, or having a separate phone. That's something I set up recently. I installed Graphene on an Android phone, or a Google phone, and I use this phone kind of as a hardware wallet. So I sign transactions with it, and I have some crypto on it. So if I'm out and about at a conference or wherever, and people actually want to get paid in crypto, I only use this phone. So this phone has nothing to do with my phone where I have like my pictures, my private life, all that kind of stuff. So like try to separate separate the concerns. I think that's a very good tip as well. And try to use local services when you can. So a good example, I think, is like Rotkey for like portfolio management tracking. A lot of people like to use I don't know, Sirion or whatever, because it's convenient, but don't do that. Basically, it's not that difficult to connect your IP or whatever with the stuff you have there, and then people would know how much crypto you might have. So do stuff locally where the data is stored on your local machine. I think that's another solid advice. What else? Email, for example. Email is a big one. I use Proton email. I think it's nice. It's encrypted. It's based in Switzerland, where they have very strong privacy legislation. So you have a lot of rights there compared to many other places. What else? Yeah. Okay. Again, a mix of security and privacy. But like if you go to conferences, if you post on social media, stuff like that, maybe don't just go out and say that you have a lot of crypto or whatever. Like keep a low profile. Dress as a normal person when you go to a conference. You don't have to stand out wearing your, I don't know, diamond, golden something jacket saying Bitcoin on the back. Just blend in, be a normal person. Don't stand out. That gets you a long way as well. I think that's like the main things I have in my like privacy stack for like just getting around as a regular person. Using VPNs, very good idea as well. Doesn't matter too much which one, as long as you use one. That is a significant improvement for sure. And possibly also don't fill your laptop with stickers of different crypto companies, because that's a pretty saying thing. If you're sitting in a coffee shop, I don't know, you're going to take a toilet break and you forgot to lock your laptop. I mean, I know for a fact if I was walking into that coffee shop and I had ill intentions, I would take the laptop with the crypto stickers on it first. So yeah, spend a little bit of time every now and then thinking about like how could you get hacked, how could you get compromised, and then like fix those issues in your private or personal setup. I think that gets you a very long way, both from a security perspective, but also from a privacy perspective.